All right, welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We've got Dr. Ahmad He joins us this morning on the program. He's a member of the Executive Committee, President, League of Africa, but we also know he's a member House Committee on Loans, AIDS and Debt Management, member Reps Committee on Defense, among several others. Good morning and good to see you.
Justice,
that's why I said several others.
Science and tech, whatever,
there you
research
go.
institutions,
so many.
ICT, digital, whatever.
Quite a number. But how do you combine?
More than 13.
How do you combine all these responsibilities?
Well, probably I can say by the grace of God, hard work.
Oh, okay. But just looking back at the 9th Assembly as the House winds down in a couple of days, less than, a couple of days now. Several bills, several laws have been passed, signed by the President as a result of activities of the National Assembly. So perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, if you were to look back, the intention, why those laws came up in the first place, and having been signed into law, many an act now, would you say that to a large extent that they have achieved the purpose for which they came up in the first place? For instance, just speaking about security, we spoke about the Police Act, and many still think, look, that still has not addressed the problems. So how would you say that many of those laws, for even this one, has fared in practical reality?
Well, good morning, viewers. And Chamberlain, who is my good sister, National Assembly, 9th National Assembly, they came in with a full of enthusiasm. You remember we launched what we call the 9th Assembly Legislative Agenda. So many things were embedded. We even took the activities of the National Assembly with a acronym Nation Building Joint Project. The Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Mila, has tried to adopt a different scenario, because this was contained in his first address after elected as the Speaker. He said, we will do things differently, meaning avoid confrontation with the executive, embed dialogue, and even the dialogue is like the Chinese talk. You do it undercover. You resolve your differences in-house. So this kind of activities have helped enough where we have kind of infraction or clash rather, or non-compliance on the arms of the executive, especially at oversighting or when we invited them to find out, to do some investigation. I mean, that one has reduced drastically compared to the 8th Assembly. Coming to what you just said about Bill, well, I don't need to start narrating that we sponsored 1,000, 2,000, but principally among them, there are some important bills that were done. The number of bills that were done there is about 2,200. That will let me be specific, 2,209. And number of bills awaiting second reading are 1,197. And the number of bills refers to committees are 581. Number of bills refer to the committee of the whole. Like this, I can go on. But then the most important issue is that notable bills passed in the 9th House of Assembly is the constitutional alteration. That one is very, very important. And devolution of power to state, autonomy of state judiciary, state houses of assembly, Companies and Allied Matters Act, more educational institutions, like more universities and polytechnics, colleges of education, more, and all these bills were assented. Ease of doing bill or doing business and the starter bill, just to create a favorable, business environment, that one too was part there, very notable. There are other many bills, if I keep on, that will touch, the life of the common man. Now, even the Police Act that you rounded up, your last guest before me, it is there. The implementation is where they are having problem. I agree with them. The number of policemen in the service, that is the personnel, is really inadequate, below standard. In fact, it's not even up to 40% of the required standard. So we need to do that. Now, issue of recruitment. That's why in the bill, it is provided that every 6 months, police are to do recruitment while they are checking the bad ones, kicking them out. There are so many people who have discovered that they were armed robbers before and they were police, So, and some of the police are not armed robbers, but are friends and are aiding and abetting.
But part of what Honorable Bago said is that some of these things were merely just scratching the surface, because he says if anyone wanted to demonstrate intent, they need to hit the nail on the head. State police.
Yeah. We started this issue of state police. It came up. Before we do state police, we have to visit our concurrent legislative and exclusive and the inclusive legislative list, whether it is concurrent, whether it is the National Assembly. The issue of police, which involves the state, then you have to visit that section of the Constitution and amend it. Unfortunately, people don't know. In the proposal of this last, and I'm a member of the Constitutional Amendment Committee, I'm the one representing my state, we passed that at the National Assembly level. When we send it to state, we couldn't get 2/3 of the state. I don't know what is happening. And this is an issue that is supposed to go to them. And how many governors are clamoring for that? It seems like that's my own, I take responsibility for that statement, because, we thought most of the state assemblies are in the pocket of the governor. They do the governor's bidding. So any bill, that was my perception and my thinking personally. Let's say I own it. But that is the way I look at it. Because a lot of things they cannot do without their governor. If the governor you see that they have approved something, the governor is in agreement. So for them, for us not to reach 24 states, that is the 2/3 of the state, for that constitutional amendment to pass, is something that we have to question ourselves. We, even the citizens. So sometimes when you blame that, you look at the other way. So, and even this devolution of powers to the local government, with both administrative and financial, what happened when we send it? And this is an issue that is it is prerogative of them, but they are not doing it.
What would you say to perhaps any Nigerian who may be of the impression that, as far as they are concerned, they can't really say that the Ninth Assembly has impacted their lives?
Well, they are free to say their opinion. But on the contrary, we felt we have brought out a lot of policies that have touched the life of the common man, even the ease of doing business. The bill that came up, at least with the starter bill, it encourages people to be entrepreneur. See, the Ninth Assembly were faced with so many challenges. 2019, then early, at the end of 2019, the rumor of COVID, by January, February, COVID has become blown. And that's why it is even called COVID-19. So the early 2020, January, February, we were faced with COVID.
Those were the times Nigerians needed the National Assembly a lot at that time. They saw what was happening globally, how governments responded with several measures to businesses, individuals, but in this country there was no such thing.
To my own understanding, the government have put that task force headed by the SGF, and they have been responding to COVID. They have provided centers, everything. And besides...
But you saw
No, I'm
the
coming.
outcome.
Besides,
Yeah.
I investigated a list of federal government agencies. When I was at FAN with the airport, I saw some of these traders, shop owners, lounge, you understand, that provide in the airport. They were given rebate of about, I think, 50%. Or even 100%, they were waived that year's, what do you call it? This rental, all distance, just for them to ease. Aircraft operators were given some rebate, and because I investigated them. Now, if it happens in the aviation sector, I believe it is also happening otherwise, because most of these businesses, even caterers that provide all these snacks and food for aircraft, we investigated them. A lot of rebate were given to them in terms of rent, in terms of service charge and co. So I will just oppose it around. You can see this one too has helped, at least in the business. What?
I'm very interested in your work as the chairman, loans, AIDS and debt management.
Yes.
You do know that in recent times, a lot of Nigerians have been very concerned about the country's debt profile. It's been climbing, it's been growing, and only recently, the president wrote again requesting the National Assembly to approve an $800 million loan, which they intend to take from the World Bank. It was ostensibly supposed to, help be the palliative for the removal of subsidy. We've been told that that has now been left to the incoming administration. However, the Ninth Assembly is still being asked to approve this loan. That is one major loan. Then there's also the major, I don't want to say scandal, but I can't find another word to use for it. The Ways and Means that is currently 22.7, or is it 23.7 trillion naira, Ways and Means, which has also given a lot of concern, which the federal government is finding a bit difficult to pay back, and has now asked that it be restructured into bonds. These are the issues that are directly under your purview and that of your counterpart in the national, in the Senate. What has been your own perspective on Nigeria's debt profile, and do you think that this debt we have is sustainable?
Quite interesting, and as it baffles you, it baffles us too.
It baffles you?
Yeah.
A member of the committee?
Yeah, that is why that issue of, let me start from bottom to top, the Ways and Means, we have not yet visited it. We decline it. Though the Senate has passed it, granted the request, but we in the House of Reps, we raised a lot of questions, and it has not yet been attended to.
Do you think it will before the winds down?
There are things that I don't want to open the can of worms, but I hope people understand this language of ways and means. In a nutshell, it means printing currency.
Wow.
If people don't know, but I think I need the security covered by channels to continue to open that can of worms.
Please.
Go ahead.
First, the high debt profile, let me deal with it. Nigeria has the capacity to pay back its debt. It is the intention of the APC government under Buhari, the infrastructure they put, if utilized properly, the railways and the rest, if operated under norms, like even Kaduna, Abuja, by operating 4 lanes every day, which have now reduced to only maybe once or twice. But if they are to go on that rate, having 4 tranches, a Kaduna there, within 1 year or 2 years, they would have generated the money to pay back the loan and then become our revenue. And that is how, if it has been, efficacy has been applied. Our problem, like I say sometimes here, is lack of patriotism. We, the government, want to do it along the radar. You find a lot of people that, have some administrative stupidity, like I use it, this is my word. That's by the way. If all this Daja quota, which left about 3% to complete, come in with the infrastructure for this other railways. I'm telling you, Chamberlain and Mwape, Nigeria, within 5 to 10 years, if judicious utilization is there, God-minding people, patriotic people are put to man these areas, Nigeria will pay back the loan. Now, considering that capacity and the capability, that is what is making Nigeria loan and improve the infrastructure. It is alarming, but yet when you look at it, you refuse to take the loan. The present situation are not yet matured to have been generated. So it's like you are between the devil and the deep blue sea. So you look at a lesser option. Now, since you have a little threshold, even if you are leading, as long as you do not exceed the threshold, we believe one day a miracle will happen.
You are hoping on miracles. Is that what we're doing?
No, that is my own word.
Okay,
when I say
that's
miracle,
your own word.
When I say miracle, God, if he decide not to punish Nigeria anymore, can give us an eloquent, effective leader, which we saw in Aswaju, the way he transformed Lagos. Probably he will, when just support in Nigeria, though Nigeria is so complex, but the resources are higher. If he can man Lagos to have sustained himself 4 years without a revenue, a grant from the federal government, he generated from 60 or 50 something billion to, you understand, hundreds of billions. I think we feel God has answered our prayer.
Okay, let me take you up on this $800 million.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yes, I want you to address it quickly.
The $800 million, there were so many talks that we did, especially we in the loans committee, and we advised them, first, leave this thing to the incoming government. But since the loan has been granted, what we can collect, if we cannot use it, maybe the purpose and everything, when the incoming government comes, they may have different approach to issues, maybe unlike this government that is there. Thank God, well, I wouldn't say it clearly, but it was on social media that probably they intended not to use any of Buhari's ministers because they have already rated them to have underperformed. So I'm coming. Yeah. So the issue is, yes, we have granted that loan. It is approved. So we want Nigeria to take it, but it is not going to be utilized by this outgoing government. Now, if the incoming government come, now we will see also their template, which they are writing it. I cannot divorce it out. So, but even that one that I said, I think that they will not use any of Buhari's ministers. This is from the background, it's like...
So you've advised the National Assembly that they should go ahead and approve it?
Yeah.
That's your verdict?
Yes. But the utilization is on hold.
Wow.
But the utilization should be on hold?
Yes.
So if they utilize it, what happens?
Do you have a control over that?
We have that.
Okay.
So in that vein, we allow it for the 10th Assembly, and I'm very, very happy that the Deputy Speaker and the Speaker are members of the 10th Assembly. Okay. I'm not saying they will continue their speakership. From all indication, FIM is not in the rest. It's only the DS that is on the rest. If paraventure, the present DS clinch the ticket, though the party has nominated, but they say they have not yet, they are still consulted. Probably they will revisit it. We pray the present DS, because he was the one that stand down the issue of ways and means, because he understands the implication. I'm coming to talk back to it. So all this issue of the 800 loan, we discussed with him. If you remember, for the couple of years back, months, he presided more than the speaker, because the speaker is engaged as well.
Let's see if our colleagues will talk about our ways and means, because we're already out of time.
Yeah, the ways and means, like I say, people should understand it from that perspective, is that we have a shortfall, and by the CBN Act, I think there is a percentage, which is either 5% that is allowed.
But we exceeded it.
MFLA reached to almost, if not 30% or 39% against the act. We draw this attention. You remember when we drew him about that section 20 about the mint, how the argument went? I don't want to revisit that. Thank God, at the end of the day, we were vindicated. So the same issue, I told you I'm also a member of the Justice Committee, and we raised this issue with the banking committee, and we drew the attention to the relevant section of this. So these are some of the reasons we advance that this ways, I mean, that they want us to do
Dr.
22 or 27 trillion.
Dr. Abubakar, if you can hear me,
what it means,
pardon me.
let me use the layman language, is to give the central bank way to print more money.
Yeah, Dr. Abubakar, pardon me if you can hear me. The concern most Nigerians would have is how strong the weight of your opposition, you know, to the Ways and Means request is before it was approved. But more importantly, you have confirmed that the National Assembly has approved the 800 million naira World Bank loan. I'd also like to know if you also endorse the approach the federal government would rather adopt in disbursing this loan, i.e. the distribution of 5,000 naira each to a number of households.
Well, thank you very much for the interjection. Regarding the 800, we told you the implementation is on hold. That's the directive we gave the executive. The loan is approved, so it cannot be implemented by this government, and the incoming government is at their own discretion. They have the wherewithal to either change the plan for the 800 million, how they intend to remove the subsidy, and whatever palliative, it is at their own disposal. So the issue of disbursement, 5,000 is on hold. Secondly, we did not approve the Ways and Means, like you said. The Ways and Means has been approved in the Senate, and it does not have our concurrence. We have not, until we approve it, it is null and void. It's turned to nullity. It cannot be implemented. And we have given some conditions, which I've just answered about Ways and Means.
Well, you talked about the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. It sounded like you're saying he's solely responsible for this, but he didn't print that money for himself. He printed it for the Buhari administration, at least part of that money that we have on our hands right now. So why aren't you speaking to the Buhari administration as well?
Well, we have spoken to them, but you see, their explanation in that aspect by the Minister of Finance is that what can they do? And let me add it. Do you know even the devaluation of our naira to reach almost 700, at the point it was over 800, almost 900, even 1,000 people have bought the dollar. So this issue, these are some of the bad or negative effects downward that affected us. It's all this printing, and that's why we raised this issue. And we don't think we can print this 27.2 or 3. I don't think we will allow it. And I believe when the new government, well, the Buhari administration have to take responsibility for any damage, any negative, whatever, under his watch as the Mr. President. Right. So he is to take that responsibility. Now we are saying the incoming government, these are the biggest challenge that he has to do, and I think Asuwaju is prepared to take it up.
Dr. Yunus Ahmad Abubakar, thank you very much indeed for your time here today.